And I am really honored to have our guest, John Burley, today. This guy has not only done an unbelievable amount of dollars worth of real estate. I've been through so many classes. I bet you I've paid over $250,000 for classes in the last 20 years. And ever since I went through the first one, basically reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad, that changed my paradigm. And then it was all the same. I always picked up something new, but it wasn't until just a few years ago that I went to John's class, spring training. He completely changed the way I looked at real estate. Not as a, you've got to go out and get a no money down deal, which I had already figured out. That doesn't exactly work. I don't know why people keep teaching that, other than that's what students want to hear. But he said, you need to run this like a real business. What's wrong with you? And he really made me look at things differently. And if you don't already know who John Burley is, we will keep referring to his spring training. It is a finance as much as a real estate course, I believe is accurate to say.
Yeah.
And that's coming up on March 20th through the 23rd.
Yeah. So it's incredible. Yeah. So I think foundationally and fundamentally, I look at real estate differently than I've ever met. Just truly, I come from a securities background, from the world of Wall Street, and it's like we just looked at all the different securities, we just an asset class, and it was all about money. So to me, when I look at real estate is about money. It has always been about money. It'll always be about money. It has virtually nothing to do with real estate. And I tell people, it's like, look, you've been taught to focus on the right thing. You're focused on trying to find a good deal rather than focusing on have the money to buy every deal that you want. Imagine you came out, you learned exactly how to raise money like we do, and you had $1 million in the bank account on Monday. I don't care where you live, with $1 million, you could go buy a good property that day.
You could.
So if you could buy a good property every time with $1 million, stop trying to find properties without money. It's ludicrous. The whole thing is just ludicrous. And go find and learn how to properly raise money institutionally like we did. In my career, I've done over $800 million in personal raises. You've met many of my students who have raised tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. We get paid the raise just like Wall Street would be.
All right, Devin,
So
what
straight.
did I tell you? The three things you need to buy real estate from the time you were, I don't know, four.
You told me I needed money, credit, and knowledge. That being said, if I could get somebody else's money, raising money like John or otherwise, I could use that.
Can you just be hands off and say, oh, Eric, just go find me a good deal and have your brokerage buy it and then your construction company fix it. And now I'm going to sit by and collect a bunch of money when I put no money down. Have
No,
you ever seen that work, kids?
no,
No. All right,
no.
then let's ask John because he's been doing this since well before you were born, since I was a child.
Some of our land, everything works. And then you step out the doors and you find out that a lot of stuff that sounded so cool, the magic wand stuff, didn't work in the real world. Well, I live in the real world. In the real world, real estate's all about money. If you have money, real estate's pretty easy. If you don't have money, real estate's really, really hard. And I think the myth that was kind of perpetuated from Rich Dad, there were so many good things about that, but one of the myths that was in there was the idea of this passive income. What we do is not passive income; it's residual income. You guys know it. We have to go work. Now,
So, for everyone out there that wants to get into real estate, no money down, you've got to understand you still have to pay closing costs and all these other things John's talked about. And it drives me nuts to see teachers out there, and we've both spoken with them, that say, oh, yeah, you can get in, no money out of your pocket. Technically, you can, and you normally aren't getting the best deals if you try and do that. And if you do that exclusively, especially in this market, you're going to go a long time in between deals. And if you want to know more about John's event from the 20th to the 23rd, which is only about 2.5 weeks from now, go to johnburley.com and check out what you could be seeing in just 2.5 weeks.